exactly what we think we're supposed to look like. And we work hard, building trying to get it to look just like that with the clothes that you wear, right? Because you work so hard to look like you're not working that hard at it. You want to fit in, but you want to be individual and unique, but you're taking cues from someone. You have a mental idea in your mind of what you're supposed to look like. We work really hard to try and get ourselves to look exactly like what we're supposed to look like so that maybe that guy or that girl will notice us. And so we'll laugh at jokes that aren't funny because we want them to notice us or like us, or we'll hang out and do things that maybe we thought we would never do because we are so desperate to try and get ourselves to look like that thing we think we're supposed to be. And we work hard at it. Harder than you may even realize. Building, assembling, putting the pieces together to make for yourself the image you have in your mind of what you're supposed to be. I do this in a very shallow way, but I do it in very deep and profound ways. But when I was in 8th grade, the yearbook, like that comes out at the end of the school year, it has a picture of everyone. They had categories, like where they vote for people, like who's the most this, the best this. Do you guys have this at all? I mean, with that, sometimes lots of times it was the most smartest. I don't think they called it that, but it's why I never won it. But there's things like that, right? Where it's, there's the smartest people. I went to a Christian school, and so they even had one that was most spiritual, which is a really messed up title to give to someone. It's just everyone's just gonna be like, oh, yeah, I got your number. And so one of the ones was best dressed. That was in 8th grade. When I was in 8th grade, I was like, I want to get best dressed. And it became a goal for me to win best dressed at my tiny little Christian junior high school. Okay? It's a big, lofty goal. I worked hard, and I went to thrift stores before it was cool to go to thrift stores. And I was putting stuff together, and I had this whole look worked out, and I was working hard. I was campaigning for best dressed. Because I don't know what I thought would happen, but maybe I just thought that would lead to a career in dressing. I don't know exactly where I thought that would go. I could put that on my resume. In 8th grade, I won best dressed, so you should probably hire me. So I worked really hard, and then to my shock and surprise, when they gave us the little thing to fill out to vote for our class of who was the most this and the best that, they eliminated the category that year. They got rid of most spiritual and best dressed, which I think one of those is a really good idea. Best dressed, though, I wanted to, if there was a petition to sign, I would have signed it. I worked all year to win that, and they just threw it out without even consulting me. I don't appreciate it. And so what ended up happening is after I worked, I won best smile, or cutest smile, was what I won in 8th grade. And I was so mad about it that in the yearbook picture, honestly, if you were to go back to Redwood Christian Junior High School, 8th grade, cutest smile picture, in my picture I'm going, I'm so over this. I wanted best dressed, right? And it's amazing the lengths that I went to try and win something that ultimately you laugh at now and go, oh my gosh, why would you ever think that would matter? But in 8th grade, it's all that mattered to me, right? We do this. We have this image, this mental picture for ourselves that we're constantly trying to work to build. We're working so hard to get it to look exactly like we want it to. And at the end of the day, Jesus comes along and goes, oh, that's nice. That's really great. I have something so much better for you. See, because you're not the first person to try and build your life around what you think it's supposed to look like. This has been going on for decades and centuries. In fact, the Bible gives us an amazing story of someone who had worked meticulously hard to build a perfect life. And then he encounters Jesus, and Jesus wrecks everything for him. Everything for him. And it's an incredible opportunity, I think, that we need to pay attention to. So if you have a Bible, open up to Mark chapter 10. If you have a Bible, open to Mark chapter 10. We're just going to read verses 17 through 22. Mark chapter 10, verses 17 through 22. And this is the story of, some of your Bibles might say it, the rich young ruler. Have you ever heard this story before of the rich young ruler? The Bible goes out of its way to point out that this is a rich person and a young person, and that they have authority, they have influence. They are a rich young ruler that comes in. So try and imagine who's the richest, youngest ruler of all things. Justin Bieber. So let's go with that. Let's go with that. image, all right? And by the way, one of your greatest exports, by the way. Thank you for Bieber. He's given America Bieber fever, and we are so grateful for that.
I'm about to pull out my sniper.
I don't know what you're saying, but it's probably something offensive to Justin Bieber, so all right. And I approve that message.
Bro, watch your hangers, man.
All right, so think about someone who's rich and young and has worked really hard to build a perfect life for themselves, right? That's who this guy is, and he encounters Jesus in Mark 10, verse 17. It says, Jesus was starting on his way. A man, look at that, ran up to him. So this guy really wanted to talk to Jesus. He ran up to him and fell on his knees. So we can see this guy is very, very serious. Jesus has said something, has done something that has messed him up inside. And he wants to know what's going on. So he runs, literally runs up to Jesus, falls on his knees. This powerful, young, influential person is now on his knees. He says, "Good teacher," he asks, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Basically, what do I have to add to my life to have what you have? To have what you're offering? Verse 18, Jesus goes off on this little sidebar where he says, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone," even though Jesus is God. He goes, "No, look, you know the commandments. You shall not murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, you shall not have false testimony, like you shall not defraud, honor your father and mother." Like Jesus is going through them for a reason. He's naming off all the rules, all the things you're supposed to do. And this guy, verse 20, like almost interrupts the teacher. He says, "All these I've done. I've checked off all the boxes. I have built for my life, for myself, the perfect life. I've done everything you said. I've done it perfectly, built it meticulously." And you see what happens. Jesus says in verse 21, Jesus looked at him, and I think this is very important, and loved him. Jesus looks at him and he sees how earnest this guy is, how hard he's worked to make his life look just like the picture on the box. And Jesus looks at him and loves him and gives him this challenge. He says, "All right, one thing. There's one piece you miss, one Lego piece you miss. Go and sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and then you'll have treasure in heaven. Then, after that, come follow me." And you see what happens. He says, "Go sell everything, give it away." Verse 22, look at the guy's response. At this, the man's face fell. We don't have it up there, Cal, read it too. At this, the man's face fell, and he went away sad because he had great wealth. Jesus said, "Go sell everything. That's the one piece you're missing. Sell it all. Dismantle all your pieces. Give it all away. Then come follow me." And verse 22 is really the punchline, it's the powerful thing. The man looks at Jesus and his face falls and he realizes that's not the life I was actually building. That's not what I thought it was supposed to be. Jesus gives him a very clear invitation. He says, "Look, you've worked hard. You have controlled every detail of your life. You've done it. But now what I want you to do is I want you actually to dismantle all of that, and we're going to start over. And I want you to build your life on who I am, not what you think you're supposed to be. And then once you've done that, you can come follow me, and you'll follow me into a whole new adventure." The guy goes, "You know what? That's too much. That's too much." Jesus basically was saying to him, "Do you trust me more than you trust yourself? Do you trust your life in my hands more than it has been in your hands and what you've built? Do you trust me?" Yeah, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? You'd actually literally sell everything you have. Imagine doing that. I know you think you don't have a lot. You have way more than 90% of the Earth's population right now. And if you were to go home and sell all of that and give it to the poor, do you think your life might change a little bit? A little bit. And Jesus knew that this was the piece that this guy could not. He had just too tight of a control, too tight of a grip around his life. This rich young ruler who had it all together. Jesus says, "Look, dismantle all of that, give it to the poor, and then come and follow me. Then you'll get it." And verse 22 shows us the guy looks at Jesus and says, I can't do it. It's too much. That kind of change would break me. Which is exactly the point. Jesus is saying, look, I appreciate the life that you've built. I think it's great that you've built it to such a T. I know you worked really hard on it. Do you trust me to build your life on? Me. Do you trust me? And that word is very important because we felt like God was inviting us to let go of control in our life and to trust him. There's a very big difference between believing in Jesus, and I'm just by kind of showing hands, how many of you say that you believe in God or believe in Jesus? Yeah, most people in this room, right? I would think most people say, I believe in God. Yes, I believe in Jesus. Yes, I believe that to be true. There's a very big difference between believing in God and believing God. That's the difference of trust. I can believe in the idea of God. This guy saw who Jesus was and says, okay, there's something there. There's something there. That's it. I want to know what that is. If I can have that piece and add it to my life, I think I've got it. It's a very big difference between believing in and when God speaks to you, do you really believe him and trust him? Not just believe in the idea, not just have an answer to spout out, not just to know a couple verses to spit back. Do you genuinely believe him? That's the difference of trust. Is that God, I believe you. I trust you. And it would not surprise me at all for some of you this weekend that God is going to start dismantling your nicely formed little life that you've built so far, right? And you're like, dude, I'm 14, I'm 17, like, it's not like I worked that hard. You've worked harder than you even realize. Because I am realizing more and more how hard I work at it. To build this nice little life for yourself. And then God comes along and says, hey, listen, have you thought about the hurting at your school?